We're living for the moment now, we're one with the world. I can't lose this feeling I get. My heart's in the right place, and so is my soul, yeah. I won't take no excuses for it. I want it, love it, need it, live it. I feel like something's missing when I do not have it. I feel it in my bones, gotta find my space. These emotions on my face, taking a toll, I gotta pay it forward. I'll give it all that I can. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. Yeah, no what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. I won't. Oh, baby. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Lifting me, lifting you. Can't go alone, let's do by two. Doing this together, it's me by you. All through the night, all through the night. This is me, this is you. When we get together, we can all pull through. I don't ever ever wanna stop this groove. Let's get it right. Take it to the Lord, then take it to the grave. Listen to the wise man, tell me what to say. Listen to your heartbeat like it still bleed. A little bit of hope, yeah, it's what we still need. Say a little prayer for the moment. Give what you got, just go in. Can't hold you back if you own it. Live your life like you're chosen. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. I won't. Oh, baby, just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Know what I need, I know what I need. You find the key.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another broadcast here by Racing Club International. Today, at a little bit of a later time than usual, perhaps, near enough 2300 BST, 11 p.m. in the evening, just about for our Night Owl Championship. And as you guys can see on screen here, we are in South Africa tonight at Kyalmi. Of course, today I am joined by Mr. Jesse Lee in the commentary box. How you doing, Jesse?
I'm fantastic, Mike, and I gotta say, I am absolutely thrilled to be back again for Night Owl action. You wouldn't believe the road that it has taken for us to get back to here, and for me personally, to verify that I would even be available for this. But there is no place I'd rather be than in South Africa tonight for a little bit of Night Owl. It's great to be back and great to be here with you.
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic race. And of course, behind our cameras today, our other resident American would be Mr. Nick Setnick, currently piloting our drone cam as we going to take a tour down the front stretch of Kyalami, watching these guys come on past. There's one of the Lambos, I believe that is either Lebrec or Gill as we come past them. That could be Lebrec. Of course, Lebrec is in P1 so far as we approach the end of practice here, putting down a 140.0. And if you notice on your timing board across, as Lebo Verdica comes by in his Ferrari, the timing board on the left there, we have two classes for this race as well, Pro and Am. Pro cars will be on the white on your timing board on the left, and Am cars on the red on your timing board. This race will feature 15 minutes of qualifying, quite a bit of cars on the grid. This should give them plenty of space. I believe we currently have 37 cars in here, in fact, and then 60 minutes of racing. One mandatory pit stop will be had. They will need to take fuel inside their pit stop, at least 1 liter minimum. No other requirements. And Jesse, I believe we are going to have 5 races of this championship as well.
Yeah, we sure are. This is not a one off. This is a series. There will be a champion in both classes from 5 races from now, but there's a lot of racing to do, and this is not going to be the easiest racing that these guys have ever had to do. It's going to be typically done in low light, sun setting into the evening hours. And one other thing I have already noticed, there's a lot of V12 Astons in this field.
Yeah, there are 4 or 5 of them, if I'm not mistaken. I know for a fact that Billy Octane and Cody Blanton in the pro class who are teamed up together in the V12s. We had a new entry right towards the end of this of the signup. So Duald Nell in the car 9. He's in a V12, and there was at least one other Am car who was in the V12 as well. So it's kind of exciting to see these guys, pop out a little bit of a lesser picks. This is don't take me wrong, we're racing drivers. As Jesse likes to point out, it doesn't matter what happens. Racing drivers are always out here to race seriously. But in the end, it's glad to. I'm kind of happy to see these guys do a little bit of a different car pick, for this
Mm.
not maybe as serious championship, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. They're absolutely out here to win, that's for sure. But that doesn't mean you can't have a little bit of fun with it. And this sort of echoes what we saw the first time around doing Night Owl. It sort of is very similar to that, where a lot of the drivers, they got out of their comfort zone. Maybe they picked a car they typically wouldn't pick. Maybe they're, and again, here's one of those V12s we're talking about. Man, those things are beautiful cars. And Cody Blanton out here, who was absolutely screaming by in some of the practice that we have done here. So it's interesting to see these picks. I don't think they've picked these cars as a joke pick. I think they've picked these cars because, well, it's a Night Owl Championship, and you know what they always say in stock car racing: when the lights go out, things get crazy. And I think the same could be said for sports car racing, and I think that's what you're going to see here tonight, as well as the entire series. You may notice it's not dark right now. That's because it's 2 p.m. here at Kyalami right now for qualifying. Didn't want to do qualifying in the dark here, of course. And obviously on the right side of your screen there, you see the track map with all of the cars. Turquoise cars that are on the track. The red dot is the car we are following. And of course you have the scoring pylon on the left. And like Mr. Mike Jones said, white background behind the number means a pro driver. Red means Am, but I am already starting to suspect, Mr. Mike Jones, that some of these Am drivers are going to give these pro guys some problems.
Yeah, I think so. Especially during qualifying here. I mean, we all know that the biggest difference that we see Obviously, aliens and high-end pro drivers aside, the biggest difference that we see between, say, low pro down through AM is consistency more than anything. These AM drivers are totally capable of throwing down the gauntlet in qualifying. Obviously, we saw Yilmaz throw down a really fast lap. I believe he was in the top 5 in practice there for a while. It's going to be very not surprising to see at least a few of these AM guys qualify in the top 10, as we're currently on board with the first man out on the track still. This is still with Cody Blanton in that V12. He's going to be the first one for avoiding RR Racing to put down a qualifying time. And just to touch a little bit on that V12 thing, like you were saying, Jesse, I know for a fact that at the very minimum, Billy Octane is not one who picked the V12 for the memes. He also, in fact, is going to be driving it for the 12 Hours of Bathurst that we're doing in October, and he quite likes this car in general. We were talking a little bit about the V12s with Ryan Gill, who's actually racing in this race as well before, and he was saying that, you know, it's maybe a little bit of a lesser pick, but it's probably one of the best lesser pick cars out in ACC at the moment. I tend to agree with him. It's a very quick car. As you can see, this Cody is just barreling down the mine shaft here, approaching Crocodile.
Yeah, he sure is. You know what they say, if you are going to be bad, you better be the best of the worst. And I think that's what it is, very much that case. And I've certainly seen this car used to dramatic effect. I've seen the Kuno's own dev team run some really quick laps in this thing. We had a few races with them where they picked this car. There you go. Exactly the point there. Cody Blanton's going to come across to set our benchmark time at a 1:41.538, and that is the benchmark time, but I'm not sure that's going to be good enough.
I don't either. I think we're going to see these guys get into the low 40s. Of course, Billy Octane, his teammate, coming across the line shortly behind him. That is 0.6 seconds behind him. And actually, that's something to mention really quick, as I have not mentioned it yet. This championship is actually featuring some team elements to its scoring as well. You'll notice Billy Octane here also with avoiding RR Racing. These guys are paired up together, and we will have some team championships. Think kind of F1 style team championship, where some of your cars, you know, like 2 Porsche drivers are paired up. We'll calculate some team standings just for a little bit of extra fun in there. But, you know, these guys working together. Here is another one of our V12s I was mentioning earlier. This was a guy who did a very last-minute sign-up and just threw himself on the entry list. This is Dual Nell for Teamless Racing, as he happens to be the odd man out in the championship. Unfortunately, he happened to be the odd number. He was the last sign-up. He didn't make it in. I love the fact that he went with Teamless Racing. Oh, that's
so good.
That's great.
That is so very funny. I love racing drivers with a sense of humor. And chin up, man. You can still win it.
Yeah, oh, and that's the thing, too, is, you know, the driver points will be separate still, right? So it's not like it will be capped to, you know, the team are the only ones that matters. We'll still have driver standings. We'll still have team standings separate. So, you know, it's just for a little extra fun. Here's another one of the teams right here. These guys signed themselves up quite a while ago. H3 Racing with Urquizy here in the Audi. I'll have to verify his teammate, as I have not had them all memorized yet, to be honest, but... he is paired up with another one of the Audis on the grid as well. So I think it's actually, yep, that's Nick grabbed it before I did. It's we pronounced this name 3 times in practice, and I still don't remember. Jesse?
Yes, this is going to be Bel Hussein. Unless we are very much mistaken, this is the AAA to Bel Hussein. He was really quick in practice. We were observing him. He's going to be one of the ones to watch here today. Of course, he's on his first time lap. He hasn't set one to this point. But up front, it's Alistair Gillies, who has went straight to the top in that powder blue and white Porsche. And he has done a fantastic job with a 140.557. That is absolutely stomped to the front of this field at this point. So that's going to be your first realistic time, and we're going to see if anyone can improve upon that. I suspect somebody might, as we go back to Billy Octane in that somewhat traditional green-on-green Aston Martin of the older V12 variety. But yeah, indeed, this is almost like for Billy, this is almost like a testing session for him. considering he is going to be running this car in one of our upcoming endurance races in October. So for him, this is just getting a bigger notebook, learning what works, what doesn't work. Very smart.
Yeah, I concur. This should give him some good data, basically, to throw down for Bathurst. However, that right there will not give him much, as he's going to go off the track, have to reset back to pits right next to his teammate, as it turns out. Him and Cody right next to each other. Those, I'm going to call that almost army green there.
I believe they call that British racing green.
Okay, then correct me. Corrected. I stand corrected. That's the English that we're going to go with today, as we're switching over to
starting off strong.
Exactly right. Switching over to one of Billy's other teammates here, actually, Brock McDude. He's one of his endurance teammates, however, racing for a different team here with this championship, as obviously Billy and Cody are paired up together, and there was only 2 drivers maximum. Brock McDude in the championship, not racing for Triple R on the championship teams. He'll be with a different team name that I'll have to verify it again. So I believe, guys, we're going to have to go to black just ever so slightly. Just fair warning, our broadcaster's having just a little bit of issues. We should be back up momentarily. However, we will, in the meantime, do a little RCI radio, which is Jesse's favorite thing. So
I love it.
Yeah, so as we're still doing qualifying here, Gillies did kind of still holding that pole. However, here, Jesse, if we're looking at it, in about 3, 2, 1, there's Ismail Lebrecq. Not that anybody could see that on screen right now. Lebrecq just took over pole position from Gillies in his Lambo with a 40.392. Jesse and I were talking about Lebrecq beforehand. This is, he's going to be a competitor.
Yeah, absolutely no doubt in my mind. We were talking about that, like Mike said in pre-race, about how Ismail Lebrecq is going to be one of those drivers that you have to watch, you have to pay attention to. And the same with Alistair Gillies, too. There's so much firepower at the front of this field. Our very own Ryan Gill was in here pre-race. He's in this championship, and he was sort of looking forward to getting, top 10s, top 5s fairly easily, considering the late time that the race starts. Well, unfortunately for him, a lot of really good quality drivers actually ended up signing up for this event. So our field is completely stacked up right now. It's hard to pick a particular favorite. But Mike, I'm actually going to go ahead and make you pick a favorite. Who is, without seeing a single lap of competition, who's your favorite to win this championship?
Oh man, we're calling them out early. We're not even done with qualifying for the first race yet.
Nope.
Yikes. You know what? I'm gonna go with my boy Cody Blanton. I am in that V12. I think that even though he's running that V12, the first Night Owl Championship that we had with the previous community, Cody absolutely destroyed that. He was in the Ferrari at that time, granted. Welcome back, guys. Video is back up again. Apologies about that. Nick just had a little bit of a restart he needed to do. But yeah, I think Cody Blanton he's just such a consistent driver. He's a quick driver. Currently only in 9th for qualifying, which is, almost 1.2 seconds back. But that said, that V12 is if he can keep that thing consistent, I think that's my pick.
That is very interesting. Well, I am going to have to be a contrarian, and I am going to have to pick Alistair Gillies for winning this championship. And here's the key. Here's the kicker, Mike. You ready? Gillies isn't going to win a race this season, but it's not going to matter. He's going to take home the cup. And I think that speaks for itself.
Interesting. So I like the concept there, right? So we all know that Porsche is so quick for hot lapping and can be really quick for these sprint races like this as well. But it's interesting to find that maybe he might not win, but if he can consistently stay in the top 5 for all 5 races, he very well might. I know that you ended up having to miss the last round of the Silver Cup last night. That you, I don't know if you caught the standings, but the top 3 were within 4 points, if I'm not mistaken. Paul Jeffrey called a winner in Ulrich, I believe it was, last night, and he ended up losing by 1 championship point. And it was just, man, I mean, you can't get any closer. And I don't, like, none of those guys, I think only 2 of them won a race, if I'm not mistaken. The one who finished second, I don't think he won a race. I'd have to verify that. But maybe we'll get a repeat of that here.
So you know what I got out of that? I got that Paul Jeffrey should be picking my lottery numbers from now on. Then is that what we're going with? Because
Yes,
that is incredible. Paul has a strange ability to do that.
you know, Paul Jeffrey is he's a fantastic commentator, and he's just got all of the intuition that comes along with that, I guess. Because yeah, he's just, every single which way he goes, it always ends up being correct most of the time. Yeah, hopefully, excuse me for a second. Hopefully we will get our local stream up here momentarily. We'll be able to start commentating again over what's going on. Apologies about that. Nick was still just having a little bit of issues feeding us video here in the booth. But we should have everything ready to roll. Of course, there is only a couple minutes left in qualifying here. Lebrecq still in first with that 40.2. Just put another lap down last lap for just to get a little bit of extra time. And here is his teammate Ryan Gill, who just put down his fastest lap of qualifying so far with a 41.0. And we were having a little discussion about Ryan earlier, Jesse, too. We didn't think he was going to win a race. However, your opinion on him was...
Oh, they're going to win the team championship. It's not even going to be close. The Lamb Boys are coming for you, everybody, and they're going to win this championship outright. I've observed enough of that team in their separate configuration to know that they're tenacious. And again, they may not win a race, but it will not matter. They are going to win the team championship in Pro. As we go to Elio Silva, who's been incredibly quiet in this qualifying session, can do no better than 8th so far. His best lap there, a 141 something. He's 1.1 seconds off the pace. Lebrecq, of course, with that 40.2. Then Mathis up in second place. He's about 3/10 off of him. Gilly's back down to third, and Belhassain is all the way down in 4th place. Then you have Conway, Urquizy, and Gill. Where in the world is Blanton? Blanton is all the way back in 9th position. We're not used to seeing him anywhere near that far back down the grid. And here is Sebastian Brudier, who also uncharacteristically is down in 16th place. What is going on?
You know, I think the thing with Brunier, to say the least, is Brunier, he's a very quick driver, but I've never seen him be as quick during qualifying, and he's not a high-end pro driver. Brunier is a very, very consistent, very quick silver driver who can slide himself into pro, but I don't think that he's as quick in qualifying as some other drivers. Blanton doesn't surprise me as much. Blanton, you know, again, he's in that V12. I think that it's going to be more of a consistency battle for him. That said,
there it is.
Brunier dropping up into the top 10, 8th place for him, knocking Blanton back to P10, in fact. This is still a second off the lead, Jesse, but it's getting there, you know, especially in this now V8 Aston that we're looking at. We spoke a lot about the V12s, but we also have quite a few V8s on the grid as well.
Yeah, absolutely we do. And this is exactly what I'm sort of, you know, used to seeing from Brudier as he gets knocked back by Silva, who goes back up to 8th place. Urquizy is also done with his qualifying effort. Brunier is going to get one more shot at it, but this is pretty much about where I expect Brunier to be. We're going to see if... Oh, and Blanton here, by the way, is not going to get another lap. Blanton is going to start in 10th place. Gillies nearly gets back to pole position in the 168, only a 10th and a half off. We're with Belhassain right now. We're going to see what he can do, get him up from 4th place, and does improve to 3rd position, nearly 3/10 off the pace. That's fantastic work from the H3 Racing driver, as most of them have already come back down to pit road. So they were not out on track postured ready to take another lap. Only a handful of cars still out there. Billy Octane, Sebastian Brunier, and Fox and Berg are the ones that I see. Oh, Swinson as well. Yeah. All out there on the track. Those are pretty much the only people out there. I've never seen an end to qualifying where so many cars were in pit road like that. But Brunier, can he gobble up some more positions here coming across the line? Doesn't appear like it. No, didn't look like it indeed. Everybody has finished their qualifying. The session has changed. And now, time for some race predictions.
Yeah, so we talked championship predictions, but we have 5 races to do in this championship as well. So, um, mm, I have a very different answer for my race prediction here than my championship prediction, but I'm gonna have you go first.
Yes, indeed. I may have picked Alistair Gillies to win this championship, but Lebrec is going to light up the scoreboard today. And be advised, I would have picked him regardless of where he started in this race. It has nothing to do with the fact that he's on pole, and I mean that for once. He is going to win this race, and it's not even going to be close. That's just how it's going to work today. I'm going to throw you another curveball. Belisade and Mathis are going to be your podium today. Gillies is going to finish fourth.
So I regret having you go first because Ismail also was going to be my pick there. I think it was going to be ridiculous to not pick him for this, especially seeing the Lambo Cup that we just did as we're currently running through the qualifying standings here. Just to quickly run over them because we didn't talk a whole lot about the AM class. If I could have Nick go up just slightly, actually, just before he keeps going down. I just want to look at the top of the AM class here for a second. We have Addison and DeLoe here for the AM class qualifying at a 41.4 apiece. Next AM class down being Yilmaz in that 5 Porsche at a 41.7. But we're seeing these guys, if Nick can continue to scroll down here, we are seeing these guys split themselves up pretty well. Couple pro drivers, little farther down on the field, just couldn't get that qualifying lap down. That said, a low 42 still isn't a bad lap to have, and we will see how these guys do, of course, over the course of an hour. Man, I still think Ishmael's going to win it. If I'm being real here with you, Jesse, I have to agree with you there. I think that Mathis and uh, Urquizy. Sorry, that's the word. That's the name I was looking for. Mathis and Urquizy have a good chance at a podium here, and I would not be surprised if Mathis could at least compete with Lebrec here, because Mathis in that Porsche, now, he's a pretty quick driver, I know. I would not be surprised to see him be very competitive here. He's a very consistent driver, and would not be surprised to see him up in that top 5 mark about halfway through, potentially competing for the lead as we go into pit stops.
One of the big stories that I'm going to be following today, Cody Blanton, an incredibly quick driver, has stomped out the field on several occasions here at RCI, all the way back in 10th. We're going to find out very quickly if maybe his V12 just doesn't have the pace, or maybe it's going to be a car that comes through the field, because otherwise 10th place, that is not great. Though I have seen him qualify fairly down the field and end up winning races. So that's something that I'm going to be paying attention to. Feel free to play along at home. And now's the time I'd like to ask the chat, who is your pick to win the race today for both classes, Pro and AM? By the way, my pick for AM is DeLoe. I think DeLoe is going to win AM. I think DeLoe is going to win the AM championship, by the way, as well. But everybody tell us in the comments or in the chat what your pick is. 1 minute until everybody goes out on their sighting lap as we prepare to get Night Owl ready to go here. I'm excited. This is great. It's been a long time coming back to Night Owl. I love it. I love having races later in the day, though it is still the middle of the afternoon for you, Mike. But for me, getting about early evening.
It's about race time for you. In fact, the server's at about
Indeed.
6 p.m. It is 6 p.m. your time, so we're lining up for you. Interestingly enough.
Indeed, indeed. I am. I just love this. I love the atmosphere. It's a little bit more relaxed. A little bit more relaxed here in the booth. You know, it's a Saturday evening for most people. We're having a little fun here. A lot of the drivers picking challenging cars, you know, that are different than what they would normally pick. They're teamed up. They've got a pit stop to make. They've got 5 races to survive. And again, it's all good and fun, but there's still a cup at the end of this race for 2 of these drivers, and there's still a championship at the end of 5 races. So it's big business.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how often we will say, "Oh, these guys are out here racing for fun." Yeah, we're having fun. They are. That don't mean they're not here to win. Everybody on this grid, I think, pretty much everybody on this grid is here to win. Actually, we just saw somebody get teleported to pits there. Looks like they did not hit drive. Unfortunate for them. That would be Damian Moore in the 918. Looks like Ferrari. He must have missed his drive button. Unfortunate for him, he will have to start in the pit stop. He was back in 30th position, so we'll lose a little bit of time, but hopefully, he won't lose as much time as if it was, if it was, say, Lebrec or something, that maybe not. So ACC sometimes has its fun, and that is one of them where it will teleport you back down to the pits as we're out on the formation lap here. Ismail Lebrec going to lead these guys around. Gilly's going to be on the outside rail. Belisane, Mathis, Conway, Urquizy, Gill, Silva, Brunier, and Blanton rounding out the first 5 rows on the starting grid. And this will be a race into the evening. Will be nice and bright all race long. The sun will crest about the time that the sun will crest under the mountain just about the time we wrap up the race. I believe sunset is at about 19:10 p.m. give or take. So we will probably on the very last lap start seeing that as we're looks like just a little bit of lag going on here. I think Ishmael lagged a little bit and dipped back, but that is sim racing for you, folks. A little bit of technical issues here and there. That's always how it happens, right?
I was curious what the 67 was doing there. I saw Gillies was in the lead there. Is very confused, and a lot of braking and stuff. Obviously, on the sighting lap, at least until you get around to the staging point, you can't hit each other. You're invisible. So, everybody's weaving around, and I don't know if he got a bit lost in the crowd or maybe it was some sort of setup on the car, but he was certainly not there. And I was just getting ready to say, where is the 67 Lamborghini? And then he popped out of a pile of cars. So there you have it there. We're trained on Gillies. This is going to be the main focus for us, at least for the first lap or so. The battle between Lebrec and Gillies, and can Belhassain and Conway from the second row get into this? It's going to be Lamborghini, Porsche, Audi, Porsche up front. A lot of people say the Porsche does incredibly well around here. I, again, am too afraid to drive that Porsche anywhere. I wouldn't drive that thing to the shop, let alone on a racetrack. It's you got to be a very special and talented driver to drive that thing in anger. But here they go. Which livery? The
Conway.
Harry Conway. Oh, yes, you would.
I do. I would, wouldn't I?
Absolutely not surprised by that. That car looks like he had to go to pick apart and get different body panels for that thing. Lovely car all the same. As we pair off 2 by 2 by 2 for at least 16 rows, I believe. At least. Could be even more as they round the final turn and they get ready to go into the evening here at Kyalmi, South Africa. First race of RCI's Night Out Championship, and we are about to go green as the flagman drops the flag, and they are going to be side by side. Lebrec gets the turn into turn 1, and he will clear Gillies going into turn 1, still side by side in the second row were Belhassain, and it looks like Mathis is going to be going. They're going to be 3 wide in the third row. In the back there, still 3 wide as everyone has to sort themselves out in the barbecue going up the hill.
Yeah, coming through barbecue right now. That's Ishmael still in the lead. Bellisane, Gillies, Mathis, Conway, Gill, Blanton all the way back. Blanton already made it to 7th. He made up quite a few positions. Looks pretty clean back to the back of the pack so far. Not a little bit of touch here and there. I don't think there's been too much as we're now coming up to the clubhouse bend, breaking into this for the first time. Currently trained on Conway here in 5th place. These guys have single filed out. Coming into the S's, still a couple double wide back at about 15th, 16th place. But so far, this top 10 has kind of sorted themselves out a little bit. Ishmael has already gapped the field a little bit there. He's 1.2 seconds ahead of Bellisane already, proving Jesse correct that this man is a beast. And this is his teammate right behind Conway, Ryan Gill, as we're switching over 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th here. These guys were too wide as they come through. Patrick DeLoe here in the 911 Porsche we're seeing on the inside of the Ferrari here, trying to peek through. This is not the easiest place to get on the inside, coming in a Crocodile here. He's going to sort himself out a bit, and the cars in the background going too wide as well. That is Brock McDood and Robles in the back. Robles not able to quite get that pass done this time, but he did make that run. Again, the Crocodile, not the easiest point in... a little bit of a touch there. There's Silva, and
that's a bad place. That's
Silva,
a bad place to be.
Yep, he's stopping. They're getting...
no!
Ooh, not quite enough. He's mostly... Silva's having problems getting that car under control. That Porsche is just so twisty every time you get it. It looks like most people made it through there okay, but unfortunate for Silva, and I didn't catch who the other Porsche was. It may have been Yilmaz, in fact. Yeah, I believe it was. Oh, unfortunate for them. Yilmaz obviously doing a very strong showing inside of the practice session, and now back to 32nd position. Unfortunate for them, but that's not the easiest place to Wow, Jesse, I can't talk today. Cheetah and Ingwe, just not the easiest places to pass on this track, especially on lap one.
No, it certainly isn't, and he dove in there with authority and did not have the lane, and that is exactly what happens. Silva gets spun around. Silva trying to get the car going the right way, collided with another car, several other cars going off the track, and that is the worst place to be. You have cars peppered on the inside and the outside of the track. You've restricted the lanes that you can get through safely, and that caused a big collision. There will certainly be words after the race after that maneuver.
Yeah, but then again, it's racing. That's really what it is. You get the occasional things. I don't think there was anything malicious there by any means. We don't have live stewards for this race. However, there will be some post-race stewarding going on post-race. This is Ryan Gill that we're currently watching the rear splitter of with the teammates behind him.
Sixth?
I don't know. Him and Blanton both made up a couple positions, but that is Blanton and Octane teammates behind him. You can see that British Racing green from both of these guys as we watch this rear splitter. As soon as Blanton makes his way out, there's Billy behind him. Blah, real hard on the brakes going to T1. Cody's going to keep to the inside there. Will he get the run, though, coming off the corner? Both of these cars, excellent coming off the corner, excellent acceleration. They're going to stay side by side all the way up to barbecue before Cody finally slides past Ryan, going for a little bit of the cutback, not quite able to make it, and there is Cody Blanton sliding past, showing that strength that I know he has with Octane flashing the lights behind Ryan. He wants by next.
He knows that that's Ryan Gill. He knows that's an admin for RCI, and he's having none of it. Billy's always in our chat on Discord. Join our Discord, by the way, if you want to race with us. We'd love to have you. But Billy's always on our Discord, and he's always poking fun at us. He's a lovely guy to be around. And flashing the lights, letting them know that is what this is all about. That is, I have the biggest grin on my face. I've wanted to see this battle for quite some time. Octane and Gill. If I may be so bold, I think Octane has a little more octane than Gill does at this moment.
Oh,
but
nope.
I feel bad for that. That is a bad joke. But either way, I think won't be a... What do you reckon? About turn one again? He saw his teammate make the move on him there. I think Octane's got to be thinking, well, if Blanton can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, I think so too, because we are approaching Cheetah here, if I'm not mistaken. No, this is Ingwe here, so we're going to come onto the front straight, and this is going to be where it is. Who gets the run off the corner? Again, this Aston V12 and the Lambo both just have so much grunt coming down, and he's deep in that slipstream, Octane is. I don't think he's got the run this corner, though, and that is Sebastian Brunier, another one of our staff members. He is a community moderator there in the background as well. Billy not able to slide down there like Cody did last lap, but he's still right on that tail. And these guys are out here screaming at each other with this V12 and V10 back-to-back, and I think that this battle is going to stay here at least for another few laps. I would not be surprised to see these guys competing all race long, as Reisner jumping over the curb a little bit.
I thought that he was going to lose it on that curb. I thought Reisner was going to lose it on the curb. Oh, he's going to get dumped. He's going to get dumped. It's a big crash. Single car hard into the wall is Reisner. 706 AM class car destroyed into the wall, turned around. That was absolutely a dump job if I've ever seen it. Look at the 80 trying to go the long way around the corner. Can't quite do it. Clips the 706. Hard impact. And another hard impact into the tire barrier.
Oh, that is unfortunate for Reisner. He was up, I believe, in the almost 15th. Yeah, he was in 15th position. That's going to put him down to 22nd. He's likely going to have to make an early pit for repairs and come back out. That is very damaged car there. You can see that hood is messed up. Hopefully he won't have too much repairs, but yeah, that's going to be one of those that we're going to have to take a look at post-race stewarding, see if he cut back across Gill in the 80 or if Gill cut across him. One of the two is Gill's now involved in another accident here. This one coming through Cheetah. That is him and Urquizy, I believe, as he cuts across the track. That is a bad rejoin there from Gill. Not the best way to do that. The Ferrari of Fox, I believe that was, got caught up with him. It's either Fox or Berg. I'm not positive yet. But we're going to watch the full replay here. So here's them coming into Cheetah. Both Audis, the 80 and the 404, breaking into Cheetah here momentarily. Hit it hard on the brakes about right now. The 404 tries to go for the cut. Releases the brakes just a little too soon. Knocks the 80 around. The 80, however, tries to cut across the track and keep and get in there. The Lexus and the, that was a Honda, not a Ferrari, sorry. The Lexus and the Honda kind of spin out to avoid him. Honda doesn't look like he got any damage or anything, perhaps too much, Jesse, but that is going to cost him at least 5-6 seconds there on the track.
That was not a good move by David Gill there, pulling across an active racetrack after that incident. And I'm not saying any driver should take out another driver, but based on what happened to Reisner, that was literally instant karma.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here in the post-race stewarding. Of course, these guys should report
They're going to be
all
very
these
busy.
incidents, but I think it's going to be a busy one for the stewards tomorrow afternoon. I would not be surprised, as we're currently on board again with Sebastian Brunier. Not again, rather, but we've seen him. That is Billy Octane in front of him. These guys still chasing each other. And in fact, there's a little bit of extra distance there between Mr. Gill and Mr. Octane there, Jesse.
Yeah, I think it is indeed a little bit of a gap there. It's sort of stabilized, and you'll notice that Gill is not letting Blanton go either. So they're actually sort of in the same sort of configuration, and Brunier's like, I really wish you guys would wreck each other. I'd really love to have 7th.
You know, that I'm sure Brunier's thinking that as Billy there diving a little bit to the inside just to give Ryan a little bit of a, hey, buddy, I'm still here, flashing the lights a little bit. But so far, no contact there for Brunier to make up any positions. Of course, we have seen a little bit of that fight in the past couple laps, but hopefully these guys can keep it clean. Almost 10 minutes into this race, it feels like it has been about 30.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Like you said, we had about 10 minutes of racing. I feel like I've been here for an hour. They're going to be side by side here for what is inevitably going to be about 19th place. And Matt Lehman has taken that position, or excuse me, has had that position taken from him. That's going to be a pass. I think that's going to be what, for 18th? Yeah. Yes, 18th. De Groot gets around him and starts to drive off. Perhaps the Lexus not performing quite as well as he would hope. Of course, De Groot is a pro driver and Lehman is a AM driver. And of course, they're not really required to get out of the way in this way, because they are all on the same lap, all racing for the same positions. So it's just the way that qualifying sorted out. You had some pro drivers behind the AM drivers, and you'll see now Lehman is being hounded now by Gill, who was involved in that earlier couple of incidents, and he's going to go and try and make a move there. Oh my goodness, very close to the back of Lehman there, as they're going to actually get the pass done down here, I think, and Crocodile, and just about gets it done. Is he clear? No, he isn't. He's going to fight back side by side and just about gets it done, and there is Silva behind him, who was involved in that end of lap 1 incident, and he'll fall back in line. And Silva, I thought, lost more positions than that. I thought he was down in like 30th, but as it turns out, he's only 21st. He's about to get 20th from Lehman, though. Can he do it down to the turn 1? Doesn't look like that flat 6 quite has the grunt over that V8. He'll have to do it. Maybe he is. There's a big dive down into turn 1, and there's going to be maybe a tiny bit of a touch. Nothing untorn there, and he's going to get him.
Jesse, he's just here to prove you wrong. That was just a hell of a move going into T1 there. Like, that was about as late as dive as was proper. But however, he's out on the grass now. Ran a little wide. That is Lehman back past him, and that's the Merc of Budgeon there, also getting past Silva. However, that is a little bit of a dive there again from the Porsche. We've got Silva on the inside of Budgeon there. Another Porsche on the back. Yeah, that is Yilmaz now in the background of them. And we're now switching back over to Lebrecht here, who has actually lapped Reisner. He is distanced 3 seconds between second place there. Reisner has come back out of the pit from getting that damage and repairs done back just below the lead lap, unfortunately for him. So that'll put Reisner back in currently 36th position. Actually, it looks like there's a pit stop going on right now from Fiera, so possibly Reisner picking up another spot here. But Ismail Lebrecht just taking away with it, as we kind of talked about beforehand and Jesse predicted, almost 3 seconds up, as we're now switching to Quinn Riding, who is side by side with Holm here in the 64. Going down, and there's going to be Holm driving onto the inside. He's not able to quite get that fender in there. It did, however, force the Ferrari to go wide, and the cutback comes back across. McLaren is able to slide past. That's going to be Holm picking up a position, going up in a 24th spot, as they're going to start the 13th minute of this race here momentarily. But the Ferrari going deep into Ingwe there, pushing the McLaren way wide, but he slides back past, and that was not easy to see from that angle as to what exactly happened as the camera switched itself, but that was a that was an interesting
I know exactly what happened there. He drove it in deep and forced a man wide and got the position. That's about as aggressive of driving as you can get away with without getting a steward's inquiry right there. That was incredible stuff. Oh, he's going to absolutely lose it. He's going to go off. Oh, he's going to go off and touch him. There's going to be an accident. Quinn Riding is going way off the track and gets hit by Holm. Holm taps him off the track. They were well off the racing surface and sends him right way around. Holm's going to get the position. He's actually going to lose a spot to Moore, and Riding's going to lose 2 positions.
Oh, and he's spinning again. I think his tires are a little loose there. Vodica there coming past him, who has already made his pit stop. He got a little scared. He dove a little bit to the side, but fortunately Riding able to hold onto that car. But yeah, I think maybe he got some flat spots on his tires, or perhaps a little damage. He may end up needing to come in and pit with that. It doesn't look like there's too much damage on the car itself, but those flat spots can really ruin your grip, especially in the Ferrari, and that's going to be unfortunate for him. Way off a track there, just losing it, as we're now switching over to another one of the Ferraris here in a little bit of a combat with Marco Winkler. In fact, this is Don Fox in the 23 Ferrari for Monarch Motorsports. 32 there in the background with the Audi. That's Winkler. That's Brock McDude in front of them in the Mercedes as well. So this is a battle going on for overall 15th place right now, and there is a mix of Pro and Am drivers in this fight, kind of the lower end of the Pro versus the topper end of the Am cars, and we're going to see who shakes out of here. So far, single file all the way down here, but this is about a 6-car pileup here with positions to fight for every which way.
Yeah, all it takes is one of these cars to make a minor miscalculation, and then the entire group and pack can go around you. And perhaps more importantly here, Don Fox is in 3rd place in the AM class right now. So this is a podium spot for his class, and he's getting accosted by Winkler here, who very much wants that 3rd place. You know what they say, if you finish on the podium, that's better than finishing 4th. But
yeah, just have maybe heard that before.
Yeah, Fox is holding on to position for now, but look at how close Winkler gets down into the corners, closes right up on that Ferrari, gets every bit of braking power out of that Audi. I was told the Audi did not have good brakes, but it certainly does look like it has fantastic brakes at its current pace with Winkler's car. This is the rear view provided by Nick Setnick there, showing you just how close Winkler is getting to Fox here. Don Fox, that is a fantastic name too. It's a classic racing driver's name. Yeah, it sure does. It sure does. As they're going to be nose to tail here as they come to the line. We're going to Robles. Excuse me, I forgot English there for a minute. And he's actually in a line here with Equizzi right now. So he's
spots.
That's right. Brunier has lost 9th position and is now being hounded by Robles right now for that position, and Urquizy would like to get by as well.
Yeah, Urquizy has he's been pretty strong so far in this race.
Urquizy, Jesus, I forget.
Yeah,
Here's the
see, I
problem
even
with
asked
names.
him.
Urquizy, my
Urquizy.
apologies, Urquizy. I'm sorry.
But yeah, Brunier, not sure what quite happened to him. We didn't catch it on camera, but he has definitely lost some time here. I mean, looking at my board here, his last lap was 10 seconds slower than his fastest lap. So I want to imagine he at least went off track at least once last lap. So unfortunate for Brunier, they're usually a very, very quick and consistent driver. But he is back, of course, lost 2 positions from 8th to 10th, no longer on the back of Millie Octane, where he was at earlier. However, Urquizy Robles breathing down his neck. It's a question of how far can he kind of keep this Aston V8, perhaps not the absolute strongest car on this track, just because it doesn't quite have the grunt down the straight does, like the V12, like the Lambo, and perhaps even like the Audi, depending on how much wing you knock on that thing. Marco Winkler, we were looking at a minute ago, one of my endurance teammates, he likes the Audi a lot, and he talks a lot about how the wing, you can really adjust that thing to get a lot of run, and we're going to see that about right here as Robles is hard on the back of Brunier, Urquizy hard on the back of Robles, deep into this slipstream here. He is gaining just a touch there. We're going to see if he's able to make a move coming into the corner. Brunier did get a good run off the last corner, but there it is. Robles going for it just a little bit, but Brunier very hard on the brakes. He's able to, that Aston does have fantastic brakes. I will give it that. It might not be the fastest car down the straight, but it is going to brake about as hard as anything else can.
Yeah, it sure will indeed. This race right here is very interesting. This is all for 10th place, as it turns out. And what a difference between 11th and 10th does for your confidence level, as Robles is absolutely hounding the back of him, and he has to, because Urquizy is right behind him. And if Urquizy can get a run, he's going to take 11th, and then he'll have the shot for 10th place. Everything to play for these 3 drivers here. A spot in the top 10, and that just looks good on the stat sheet. And of course, we didn't really talk about it too much, but DeLoe is leading the AM class in 8th overall. He leads Swenson by about 2.8 to 3 seconds, the gap. And then all the way back in 15th place is the battle for 3rd in the AM class. But we do stay with this pro battle, which is at the back half of the top 10 overall, as you continue to see Robles all over the back of Brunier, doing it smartly though. He's not charging into the corner. He's waiting for Brunier to make that little bit of a mistake so he can go in there and take that position. Won't have it here though, as the lap car gets out of the way very nicely. You love to see that by back markers. Maybe their race isn't going the way that they expect it to, and just moving out of the way, seeing the train of cars. Does he get a move here? Urquizy thinking about going to the outside, can't quite do it. Thinking about going to the inside, can't quite do it either for Robles. Oh, absolutely, Brunier is going to go sideways. Was he tapped? I'm not sure if he was tapped, but he absolutely went around. I'd love to see the replay of that to see if Brunier was tapped by Robles, or if that was simply just a driver error. We're going to see it down here into turn 1. Does he get tapped? Yes, indeed he does, by Robles. Robles taps him, goes around, locks the car up, and he's going to lose a ton of position. Robles is going to get promoted to that top 10 spot through contact, and that's going to put actually, it's going to be Urquizy. Urquizy's going to be up to 10th now, as Robles is down to 11th. So Urquizy does get the job done. He jumps both of them for 10th place, well disciplined by the driver of the 404. And Brunier back down to 14th. His day has gone from mediocre to bad all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him. We're also seeing Budgeon here going off track. That's going to be DeGroot sliding past him. Of course, Budgeon here is partnered up with the P2 in AM class at the moment with the Miku Mercs. Him and Mia Swenson paired up together for the team championship. Budgeon, however, not having quite as good of a race as Mia is up there in 2nd and that number 6 Merc. But this fight going on at about P10 or so, roughly, in the AM class at the moment. So he has not made his pit stop either. There are some cars behind him that have made their pit stop. We have Vodica, Nell, Lehman, Nerjek, and Sweeney all have made their pit stop in the AM class. but Nell is actually in the pro class. But yeah, lots of these guys have went for that early pit, whether out of necessity because they maybe spun, needed some new tires or what. But we're switching back over to Brunier now, who doesn't seem to have gotten too much damage from the incident last lap there, but of course lost those 4 positions. This is Marco Winkler in his 32 Audi for the AM class, breathing down his neck at the moment. And Winkler, again, he's a pretty quick guy. You know, when he can stay consistent, he really has the pace to get up here and fight with these guys like Brunier as well. Brock McDude back up there in the Merc in front of them. And Jesse, I think this is now shaping up for Brunier to have another battle with some Audis here. Hopefully it doesn't end like the last one did, as we're seeing one of the blue flagged cars kind of be off track there a little bit, but manages to keep up out of the way. I believe we have lost Jesse momentarily. Sorry about that, guys. I guess he is had to step away again for just a moment, so apologies. But back over to Don Fox here, who we were watching earlier. This man in overall 16th place with Berg behind him. These Ferraris going head-to-head. This is just a couple spots back from where we were just watching Marco Winkler and Brunier, only a few seconds up the field. And this is riding in front of them in that blue and red and silver Ferrari, who was just off track, not having the best race for him. But we're going to see these guys hopefully just stay consistent here. At this point, the field has kind of shaken themselves out a little bit. You got a lot of these little battles like this. Oh, that's Winkler. That's Winkler off to the side there in Iroquois, I believe. That's going to... Oh, that's unfortunate for him. We're going to see if we catch a little bit of a replay here. Here he is. Misses that. Catches a little bit of the dirt there. Not too bad. But he caught just that dirt. I think he caught the dirt coming into the final corner there. And Jesse is back now. But yeah, that's rough for him. He was having such a good race. And that is about 4 or 5 positions he's going to dip back.
Oh, is this another incident? This is another incident down into turn 1. Winkler again. Another incident. We're going to see this again. So Winkler, who just got it wrong, goes down into turn 1. And does he get tapped by Silva? Yes, indeed he does. Silva goes around as well. And that McLaren literally finds the track blocked. Can't do anything about it. I would hate to be a steward this weekend that's going to have to deal with this, because this is just incident after incident. This is not the driving standards that we're used to. And in addition to that, some of it has to be Kyalmi's fault, because every time we come to this racetrack, something crazy like this seems to happen.
You know, I agree. For some reason, Kyalmi, it seems like we have more incidents in Kyalmi than almost any other track, which is interesting. It's a nice wide open circuit too, but you know, I guess you just have a lot of different types of corners here, and you get it wrong ever so slightly, and it's just going to throw you. However, we are back on track here with Billy Octane, and I believe that is a lap car behind him, because that is an Aston, and I don't think. Yeah, that's the 706, I think there. I think it's a lap car behind Octane. So not a battle for position here with Octane, at least. Currently sitting in 7th. Blanton, his teammate, has taken off. This is what I'm talking about, Jesse. Blanton, he's in that V12, and he's not had the overall best race here. But even Octane, who's pretty used to the V12, Blanton has taken 5 seconds off of him already in the past 15 minutes.
Yep, that just speaks to how good Blanton is in this competition. I mean, he's just really quick. As we go back to Marco Winkler, who has had a race come out from under him. It's like somebody pulled a rug out from under him. It's not gone his way. But back to Blanton, yeah, it's just, like you said, it is a testament to how quick he actually is. And don't forget that Blanton has come from 10th all the way to 6th, and we're not even at the halfway mark. He seems to be making more hay. I'm not sure why Winkler has the windshield wiper on. There's no rain out there. Could have been a result from the damage, or maybe it was just in frustration. He was hitting every button on the steering wheel. Certainly I've done that myself a few times, but yet Winkler here just in sort of recovery mode. You have an issue like that, and you got to keep it moving. Speaking of keeping it moving, Ishmael Lebrec up front, 6.5 seconds out in front of Bel Hussein. And of course, Bel Hussein took over that second place from Gillies. They're still relatively close. Within about a half a second of each other is the 888 and the 168 for the final two podium spots. Conway several seconds back from them. And then we have Mathis, who's back in 5th place. Blanton, again, like we said, up to 6. Octane 7th. So those teammates running very well. And then we have DeLoe, who has put a car between him and Swenson for the lead of AM. So that's fantastic for him. I predicted DeLoe would win this championship and probably this race. So far so good around the halfway mark. Knock on wood, even if you are a superstitious person. This race, though, it has to be said again, though, Mike. It's gone wrong for so many people. There's been so many contacts. Is that a product of the racetrack exclusively, or is that just drivers being overeager?
I think a mixture of both. I think as we're watching Ismail cross the line here to start his 16th lap, we're going to do a little bit of an onboard with the leader here as we come across, but I think it's a mix of both, if I'm not mistaken, Jesse. You know, it's Kyalmi seems to be a little bit more dangerous for drivers, but at the same time, I think that perhaps the first race of the championship here, people are a little overeager. But we are currently on board with Lebrecq here, taking a tour of Kyalami, currently making his way through Barbecue up towards Sunset. And unfortunately, his windshield wiper seems to be stuck right in the middle of the windshield where we're looking. But this is coming through Sunset, approaching Clubhouse Bend. Hard back on the throttle, down on the brakes, down into second gear through Clubhouse Bend. Again, just smashing the throttle coming out here, getting as much speed as possible to lead into the S's. Is all you're really doing is letting off the throttle here a little bit. So the more speed you can carry through the S's, the better. And then we come up to the hairpin. This is one of the hardest corners in the circuit. It's kind of a double apex and crosses back onto each other here. But it's very important to get the exit right as you exit onto Mineshaft, which is this straight here, because this is the main part of the run here other than the main straight. This is where you're going to get a lot of your speed. He's just briefly, potentially, if he's in the slipstream, will just briefly touch 6th gear there before he breaks into the crocodiles and then out through into the most dangerous section of the track here with the Cheetah. Can't quite see it from this camera, but there's a big old sausage sitting on the inside of that corner. If you touch it ever so slightly, your car goes flying, much like Winkler's kind of did the lap before. Out of Ingwe there, back across the line. Ismail Lebrecq putting down a 141.7 for that lap, which is just so much faster than anybody else on the grid. Bella saying going to cross the line here briefly with a 42.0, so almost 2.5 to 3 tenths ahead of second place here, Jesse. He's just showing that Lambo strength of Kyalami.
Yeah, he sure is. Ryan Gill smiling ear to ear. He may be down to 12, but it doesn't matter. He knows his guy is leading the race, and that's probably the most important thing. As Mia Swinson is going down into pit road, and so is the 11th place car of Robles going down into pit road, and that's very interesting. They almost collided into pit road there, having to get the car woed up. This is a mandatory pit stop. The mandatory bit, they do not have to take tires. They do have to add the minimum fuel, which apparently is 1 single liter. So they do have to come in. Everybody does. That's what the amber number 1 beside the number of the car. I thought there was going to be a collision there. Sorry. Once that
Not
turns
a collision,
green,
but he's going dive into into turn 1 here. That's Gill on the inside of Berg here, going deep into T1.
Whoa.
That run from the Audi, not quite touched it. They got real close, but it looks like Gill just had to let off just enough to let Berg slide back fast, but not quite yet. Here they go through Barbecue, and Berg just nails the brakes there. Not quite good enough on the brakes, and Gill just runs through at the last second. That's going to be an excellent pass for Gill.
Gill parks it on the apex and go ahead and diffuses the counterattack from Berg. Excellent strategy there. Berg had nowhere to go, position to Gill.
Yeah, and unfortunate for him again. I think perhaps we lost Jesse there slightly again. I know he's been having a little bit of microphone issues. Apologies about that, guys. But yeah, Bill from the Stop and Go Racing team here in the 80 Audi car. That is going to be up into 13th place. He's now going to try and chase down Brock McDude, about 3.5 seconds up the track or so. And we're looking at these guys again, just kind of spread out a little bit. We've got Urquizy in 9th place, is just about a half second behind Delo. We've got Gillies up in 3rd place, who is just a half second or so behind Bellison in 2nd. But most of these guys have spread themselves out a little bit, and I think I heard Jesse there again. So hopefully he's
you know what I just did there? I released the button too early. Speaking of Delo is going into pit road. He will be the first of the AM cars that are in a reasonable Actually, I'm incorrect. That is
Swenson
very
pitted
incorrect.
last lap. Yep.
Yeah, Swenson pitted last lap. Delo is going to be one of the last top competing AM cars to come down pit road to complete their stop. They, in fact, have done so and will re-enter the track, I suspect, still in 1st place in AM.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think he's still going to come out overall in 1st there, and it looks like so far he has. Yilmaz just not able to get up, and Swenson dropped down quite a bit. I'm wondering if she almost took tires in the pits, perhaps, or maybe she had some damage and she needed to repair because she dropped down quite a bit. That's unfortunate for her, down below Lebo Vodica. That said, I think when Yilmaz, Winkler, and Bugden make their pit stops, I'm thinking here that Vodica and Swenson, at the very least Vodica, should be able to get up into that potential podium position, as we're currently on board with 2nd and 3rd place here. This is 3rd of Gillies from the 168 Porsche here in that turbo whine, or that flat 6 whine, coming down the front straights. But Bellison in that Audi is he's still not even catching him. I mean, Bellison is still pulling away from him down that straight. Probably got not much wing on that Audi, and he's just taking off. However, this Porsche, of course, really quick through this twisty corners, like here through the Just Sky Sweep, and this is where the Porsche is going to shine all the way through Sector 2 and stuff. Once you start approaching Sunset, that Porsche is just going to keep up with this Audi all the way through there. That Audi just doesn't have a... Well, I think it's the Porsche has such a small wheelbase that it's just so good through these little twisty things compared to the Audi, and this is why we're seeing these guys stay about a half a second apart or so. But they are approaching lap traffic, and that's going to throw a wrench into things.
Yeah, it sure will. The thing, I'm going to go back to Swenson for a second. I think that there was a bit of an issue on that stop. I think perhaps they asked for more services than were required. I can't quite confirm that due to the way that the pit stops work in ACC, but I'm pretty sure that is what happened. I just think that they had their menu not configured correctly. Of course, again, you can configure your pit stops in the menu before the race, and I just think that perhaps she had it on set and forget and sort of forgot that it may have not been set up exactly correctly.
And that's unfortunate for her, but I still think she's going to be within reach of that podium once these pit stops shake out. It'll be interesting to see, because pit strategy definitely playing in here, as Gillies and Bellison here currently making their way through that lap traffic. So far, no big issues yet. Currently made their way through the Lexus, and they are approaching a couple more cars liable to catch them probably this lap. See if that shakes that out at all. Of course, none of these now top 15 cars have pit. Yilmaz currently holding the intermittent AM class lead. However, he's only a second ahead of the guy who has pit already, and that's Delau, of course. So he will definitely fall back once he's made his pit stop. And here we go right now. This is, these are, look at all that traffic.
Ooh.
Oh man, that is like 6 different cars there, and not all of these guys are fighting each other. There's about 4 of them though. That's Yilmaz, Delau, Winkler, and Budgeon, pretty much all within about 2 seconds of each other with some lap traffic mixed in. Whether that's lap traffic for them or some of the leaders, we're not positive, as I believe our board is currently stuck on this one due to a little bit of ACC issues lagging, so we can't pull up the hot standings, unfortunately. But currently on board with Delau in that 911 Cimbro Sport Porsche, and that's a Ferrari behind him right now, and that is not Bodica. So Winkler a couple seconds back. That is Yilmaz in front of him that he's trying to chase down and hopefully keep ahead of Winkler, as we saw a little bit of a flash of Winkler back there in that white Audi. Of course, Winkler being involved in a couple incidents, one self-inflicted, one not earlier, that dropped him down the leaderboard a little bit. And then Bodica back there, not too far back as well in his Ferrari in that 47. he's sitting there going, I see pit stops ahead of me, and he's in P2 potentially.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed. This is interesting. This is the battle for the lead in AM, though one driver has stopped, another driver hasn't stopped, and that's it's unfortunate that it is that way. But Delau, he has to be very easy about this. He's going to think about going down the inside here. Can he get it done? He is going to draw even. He's going to get the pass done. Yilmaz is not going to fight him too hard, and the leader of the race for AM has retaken the lead, despite the fact that the driver he was fighting hadn't taken their stop just yet. I'm trying to figure out how this is all going to shake out. Obviously, Vadika is going to end up being second in AM, and I suspect Swinson, she'll filter out to third, perhaps. We're going to have to pay attention to that. It's going to be a blow for her, but still, it is better than not being on the podium if she could pull that off. She had incredible speed, so I don't see why that wouldn't be still a possibility. Maybe even get all the way back to second with 23 minutes to go. Hello, everybody out there in RCI TV land watching this race. Maybe you're watching it live or the VOD. Either way, we would like to go ahead and thank you for being with us here today for the Night Owl Championship, and we hope that you're enjoying the broadcast. And while you're here, why not subscribe so you can stay up to date on every series, every race, every lap that we do here at RCI. It's one simple click. It helps us out, and it keeps you in the driver's seat. In addition to that, go ahead and hit that like button if you like what you see here today. It was also greatly appreciated. And once again, thank you for being with us today, as you are every day, as we have so many races, racing most days of the week around here. So you're never bored. You always have something to watch. And I am glad that we are able to put on this show. I'm happy to be here. And one thing I noticed from that previous scene was somebody was getting what they call the meatball flag. So somebody has a mechanical problem in that previous group that we were watching. I'm not sure who that was, but somebody was definitely getting the go to pits and repair your car flag. As we go back to Cody Blanton, most of the top, actually the top 14 yet to pit. Cody Blanton, one of those, up to 6th place, as we said earlier, and has pretty much ran down Mathis here for the 5th place. That's going to be very important for him to get into the top 5 for a championship challenge. Of course, 4 more races after this one indeed. Nobody catching Lebrec today. Bellassane in 2nd place. Gillies still 3rd. Conway having a quiet race in 4th. And of course, we just mentioned Mathis being chased down by Blanton. Billy Octane in 7th place has fallen off quite a bit from Blanton. Literally driven away has Blanton. And Urquizy back in 8th place has also gapped Gill, who's up to 9th place. And Brunier, despite being sort of spun out, is in 10th place still. That is your top 10 rundown. And, of course, as they run in AM, Delow leading Winkler and Vadika. But Winkler still has to pit. We suspect he'll be in. Well, he has to be
just
in.
behind Swinson. I'm going to say 4th.
You're going to say 4th. So you're going to say that Swinson, you're going to say she gets in front.
I think so. Looking at the board there, so what, there's 6, 7, 17 seconds between them. That's definitely enough for Swinson to get up there. But if we're looking at Addison right now, there's another 5 seconds between them, and then Addison is pretty far back. I think Winkler, even with his issues earlier after the pit, there's an extra 16 seconds between Robles and Addison. I think Winkler comes out between Robles and Addison, maybe right on the back of Robles if he can make it quick. And I think that he's going to filter out in 4th position and perhaps stay there, as he's got a lot of run to make up to get to Vodika. But I think he's going to be able to. However, we are currently watching a battle for the podium in Pro. This is Gillies all over the back of Bellassane here, and this is the fight that we've just been kind of keeping an eye on off and on. Gillies has stayed on the back of Bellassane there by about a half-tenth or so, or about a half-second or so, sorry. But the blue flag car, again, as these guys cut through traffic, and we can see, they've just kind of gained a couple tenths, lost a couple tenths, right? Here it is going to be right here where the Lexus is going to let them by. No time lost there, but you can see, kind of like I was mentioning earlier, Jesse, they come out on one of these straights and that Audi just takes off, and I think that's what Bellassane's been kind of keeping ahead of Gillies just for that reason.
Yep. You know what they say? There's no replacement for displacement and also the right configuration of car. I'd like to see what you guys in chat think about the distribution of cars. Do you think a mid-engine car is better, rear engine, front engine? I just sort of feel like the GT world has settled on the fact that the mid-engine platform is the way to go. I think most people would agree with that, and that is indeed that V8 in the middle is what is keeping that R8 in front. Absolutely. Otherwise, Gillies would have been down and gone. But I still think Gillies has a good shot here of getting by him. Of course, that Audi is sort of a handful, but not to be outdone. So is that Porsche a little bit. But these two fighting for the second spot in the race and in class. How important will these points be coming down to the end of the championship? You heard Mike Jones earlier talking about how close the race was for the Silver Cup for the ICGT Championship that ended yesterday. So yeah, every point is important. Every position is important. And again, above all, that favorite saying I like to say, the racing drivers, and they don't really care about points in the middle of the race. They just see a car and they want to pass it.
Yeah, that's it exactly. This is the man we were talking about before the race earlier as well. This is Mathis here in the 7 portion. That's a Lambo behind him. I believe, is that a lap car Lambo behind him, or is that Mr. Gill that is somehow...
No, that is a
No, that's got to be a lap car. Yeah, okay. I was gonna say, I thought maybe Mathis spun out here, but this is a man we were talking about before the race, expecting a potential podium out of him, and he's going to dive into his pit stop here, currently in 5th place. He has not had quite the best race compared to what we were hoping he would have. Though that said, I mean, 5th place, nothing to scoff at. He's only maybe, what is that, about 20 seconds or so behind P2. Of course, Lebrec is just so far ahead of everybody at the moment, almost 13 seconds ahead, that he is basically checked out and is running his own race. But so that puts Mathis still in the top 5. However, and he's probably not going to get a podium in this unless somebody screws up a pit stop, which is entirely possible. We've seen it happen. Look at Swenson, for example. Perhaps a longer pit stop than she had originally planned. If that happens in that top 5, that could really shake up the entire race here. And here is that Lambo we were talking about, Mr. Chris Sweeney for Team Highlands Racing. This is actually one of Elvin Smith's endurance teammates. He's one of their AM team. In fact, Elvin Smith, not currently in this race, but a very popular member of RCI. He's one of those guys who races a Lambo or a Ferrari quite often and checks out like Ismail Lebrec is doing in this race. But currently back to Urquizy here. Another man we've had quite an eye on, cutting his way through traffic.
Oh man, Urquizy, but look who's right behind him. Actually, I should say the car that's third in line there, that's going to be Silva. Silva at the center of several controversies and passes here today, and now Urquizy is going to have him right behind him now.
Yeah, Silva, he actually looks like he just picked up quite a bit of time on that last sector as well, so I think maybe Urquizy had a little bit of an issue, perhaps going off track. If I'm not mistaken, that last sector time was at about 5 seconds. Now it's at 1-2, so hopefully Urquizy will be able to keep the hammer down and be able to take off here, but if Silva catches up with him in that Porsche, that's going to be a fight to go here for the last 15 minutes. However, if you notice on the scoring board there, Urquizy has taken his pit stop and Silva has not. So that said, Urquizy is actually far ahead of Silva once you factor in the pit stop as well, as long as nothing happens out on track. And as we approach the final 15 minutes of this race here, we're going to see about 7 laps to go next time Ismail Lebrec crosses the line. And this is where everybody's going to start pitting. We've got a couple of the guys in the top 10 who have pitted, but we're going to see the rest of these guys start filtering in for their pit stops soon as we're switching. Ooh, Swenson actually going a little too hard on the brakes there and locks him up and has to go wide to try and avoid the lap car that she was with there with the Audi. That's going to leave her. Oh, no, that wasn't a lap car, was it? That was Gill or Robles, sorry. She just lost a position to Robles overall, and that's unfortunate for her. Not a position in class, but that will lose her a few seconds, and she can make up every single second she can at the moment, because every bit that she loses is closer that Winkler might come out ahead of her. And and that's Berg in the pit right now, so he's going to shake out. He's going to shake out kind of behind Swenson here, if I'm not mistaken. But now this is getting closer and closer to Winkler fighting Swenson for a fourth or second place here potentially. Jesse, I think, or is that third place?
Nope, this is going to get really close here. Again, we're watching Bel Hussein and Gillies here, who are really getting close. They were about a second apart. Now they're less than half a second apart, and these two are going to get really close together. And you gotta pay attention here in this instance, because you don't want contact. You don't want to ruin this, because again, one little mistake, you could go ahead and start playing catch up immediately. Wouldn't you rather have a third place rather than a, I don't know, 8th or 9th in this race? So Gilly's playing it very calm, cool, and collected so far, but still.
That's Conway behind him too.
Oh yeah, that is indeed. Is that Conway? I thought that was.
It is 2 seconds back. There he is.
Oh,
like
yes,
Conway's
you mean,
catching him
yes,
a
the
little
third
bit.
car in line. Yeah, they are. So it looks like Belisane is holding up this line, and look how close Gillies is now, right on the back of him. Is he going to go around the outside? He's going to try it. He's going to try the pass on the outside. That's not the typical way you make this pass here, and indeed he will not, but still a hard challenge, and all this is doing is keeping Conway in close contact, and Conway all the time gaining on these. Conway's thinking, well, I could have third or second.
Yeah, that was 2/10 in the last sector that Conway picked up again. And again, we're seeing that happen once again, like I talked about a few laps ago. The Porsche coming up through Sector 2, up to the hairpin there. He's got such a run coming up to this Audi, but then the Audi comes out on that straight and just takes off. Watch this, coming out of this corner right here. They're side by side, almost like nose to tail here. And if we switch over to the Helicam just briefly here, Nick, if you don't mind, I want to watch this come in. You can see the Audi, how much of a gap he's already made. He's picked up about a half a car length or so just all the way down that straight, and that's with the Porsche being in the slipstream. So this Porsche of Gillies is going to have to get this done through the twisty stuff here. He's going to have to get a good run coming out of barbecue and make his move through Sector 2, which is not the easiest place to do it when Belisane is defending so well, like we just saw from the last lap, because like Jesse said, it's not easy to take the outside of that hairpin, and that's what he has so far forced Gillies to do. And we're now going on about 35 minutes, I think, here, Jesse?
Yes, indeed. This is, I'm telling you right now, I'm trying to do the math, guys. I'm sitting here with a calculator. If you think I'm being quiet, it's because I'm sitting here with a calculator, and I'm trying to figure out how this is all going to shake out here inside the top 5. Of course, most of them haven't pitted to this point. And here's Niederjack, who's actually being sort of fought by Sweeney here. We saw Sweeney earlier. He was getting passed by a car on the lead lap. But this is a battle for... Actually, no. Actually, that's incorrect. Actually, yeah, that is correct. Excuse me. This is Niederjack being sort of fought by Sweeney, and in front of him, I think that is Addison. I think that is for position in front of them. So even as far back here, we're 21st. This is for the 21st position. There are still battles going on all over the racetrack, as you may have noticed. The lights are on, and it is getting dark.
Yeah, the night owl is coming true here as we're crossing that 7 p.m. mark here briefly. We can see, you can see just a touch of the light in the distance. Sun has crested the back of the mountain in the back, and we are just getting a little bit of residual light as it crosses into nighttime here. But that is something I'd like to point out real quick, Jesse. Speaking of fights all the way back here, we'll notice Reisner actually in that 704. Excuse me, he has made up a few positions since he was the one with the damager. Ooh, actually, Niederjack's going to go way wide coming out of T1 there, and he has to kind of rejoin the track a little sideways, and Sweeney just barely avoiding him, but he's going to hit the bump again there, and we're going to see if this Lambo can get a run coming off the corner. That's, I believe, Berg in the background getting a little sideways too. The Lambo's going to try and go to the inside here, just not quite enough of a run, but that is just... That was real close. That could have been real bad real quick.
All these two drivers are doing is annoying each other, and that's going to lead to a hasty maneuver that may end up in yet another steward's inquiry. They well held by the both of them there to not put themselves in a compromised position, I'll say. But one thing's for sure, Sweeney has made his intentions known that he wants this position and he's willing to fight him for it. So knowing that, Nerjak, he has to be very defensive here, and he has done a very good job of that, shading the Lamborghini all the way to the other side of the track to keep him from thinking he could have that run in a realistic way. But just as you say that, that gap opens up just a little bit. It's what we were talking about earlier with different cars being better on different parts of the track. You may have a bit of a gap, and then you get down to another section, and then all of a sudden you don't have a gap anymore, and you wonder, why am I so slow? It's not because you're slow, it's just the way that the cars are. As we go back to second place, Bel Hussein, who is still having this fight with Gillies. Gillies literally all over the back of him. He could give him an oil change from that distance, and that is not very much, folks, as these two continue to have this fight intermixed with the lap traffic that we have here today. I think the leader has lapped up to about 13th or 12th at the moment, which sort of makes sense because the leaders haven't pitted yet. Again, more cars do pit. Billy Octane comes down pit road here. Still the top 5 haven't pitted. That's going to promote Ryan Gill up to 5th momentarily. All of those, I think everybody else except the current top 5 have come in and pitted. So DeLoe is leading AM.
Yeah, something I want to point out on the AM race real quick, Jesse, by the way.
Yeah.
Winkler did his pit, and look where he's at. So
he
did come out behind Swenson.
You were absolutely right.
Not far enough that if a mistake happens, he can make up the position.
So Swenson, after that long pit stop, loses second, but still is on the podium here. She's got 3rd place in AM, so that's fantastic stuff. Not exactly what she would have wanted. She would have very much liked that 2nd place and that shot at the win today. But we'll see how the final 7 minutes go as we plunge further into the evening. 7:01 sim time here in South Africa, and the lights are ablaze. The lights are very much needed, and you will need every last bit of concentration and nerve now. And look at the sparks and the lit up exhaust pipes from the heat. I love it. This is my favorite time of racing, late into the evening. Sweeney's still stalking Nerjak right now, thinking about making that pass. Is he close enough? I think he might have a run down here in the turn 1. He's going to have to come from quite a bit far away. Doesn't actually do it, just falls back in line, says, I will try again later.
Yeah, on the other side of things here, pit stops are happening in the top 5. I'm actually currently seeing Conway in first. Belazine and Gillies have made their pit stops and have cycled out to 3rd and 4th. However, Belazine is now quite a few seconds ahead of Gillies as well. So it looks like Gillies didn't have quite as good of a pit stop as he might have wanted, and that's going to probably cost him P2 or the potential of P2, as he's now about 6 to 7 seconds back. That's unfortunate for him. Not quite as good of a pit stop as he wanted. Hopefully, though, he'll still be able to hold down that 3rd place, as the next guy behind him would be Cody Blanton, who's about 7 seconds back. So he's got 7 seconds ahead, 7 seconds behind at the moment. So he should be able to hold that out, as we're now less than 6 minutes left on this race to go. First race of the Night Owl Championship today. David Gill currently on board with, and this is a car behind him. That is Swenson, who is in that mark. Of course, different classes here, but still an overall position. We're seeing another car dive into the pit lane there. That is actually Harry Conway in from 2nd place. So he's making his pit stop, which I believe pretty much just leaves the wreck to pit at some point here. And I think currently he might have clear air. So he hasn't made his pit stop quite yet. Probably waiting to catch the lap traffic in front before he does. But he's got such a comfortable lead at this point that he can pretty much just do what he wants as long as it's not spinning. And he's going to be fine, as we're back here with Dino in 21st, kind of braking to let one of the lead cars by, I believe. But here is Dino and Chris Sweeney. We're watching a replay of this from a couple moments ago. See what happened here. Perhaps Dino got a little loose, and oh, yep, he caught the curb. Gets that sausage, man, and there it is. That's that thing we talked about there. Sweeney just nowhere to go there, but other than punt the back of that Audi. Not really his fault there at all. You touch that sausage, it's going to throw you sideways and slow you down quite a bit. So Sweeney picking up a little bit of a position there. Hopefully that damage won't be too bad, as we're just under 5 minutes here, just a few laps to go. But it is going to put Dino back a couple, or at least one more spot, and that is now the 77 Lexus behind him that might have a shot at picking up another position. back over to Brock McDude. This is Robles on the outside of him here. Brock McDude for that 46 Mercedes. Robles in the 122 Audi. Currently fighting for overall 14th, which should be 12th position in the class. Of course, these guys have quite a bit up the road to go before they're going to catch Nell in that 9 Aston. But, 4 minutes to go here. They just crossed the line. Lebrecht crossed the line in front of them. So 3 more laps is how far this will go before the end of the race at about 7:09 p.m. Should be about the time Lebrecht might cross the final finish line. And these guys have a few laps to keep duking it out here. One of the few battles actually that we have on track due to all the pit stops. Harry Conway, I do want to point out, Jesse, if you're back with me or still here with me, Conway actually came out ahead of Gillies.
That is interesting. Why would that have happened unless...
Gillies had a very bad pit stop, I think.
Oh my goodness. I wonder if he took extra fuel or did something. Because he didn't lose enough time that if he would have taken tires, but he definitely did something there that allowed Conway to jump him, and significantly by about 3 seconds, it looks like. So something happened on Gillies' pit stop that jumped him all the way down to 4th place. I'm gonna take a look at that and see what I can
I'm
find.
taking a look at it right now. So actually, he hit the curb coming into Cheetah, and that bounced him wide a little bit. And then as he's crossing the pit line, let's see, stopping in for his pit stop. Yeah, I think it's just a long pit stop. He lost a little bit of time because he caught the sausage, and looks like he had trouble getting the car started. As I see him did drop on his jack.
Oh, Brock McDude here going all sorts of sideways in the battle with Robles and trying to get around him, can't quite do it there. Brock McDude is going to hang on to it despite the fact that he took a side trip to the beach, but not for long. Robles down the inside on the front straightaway. V8 versus V8. Who's going to win? I'm going to give it to Robles because he has the position on the inside, and a stop and go given to the 67.
For speeding in the pit lane, it looks like there for the 67. Unfortunate for him, but yeah, McDude able to keep a hold of that. And I will do a little bit of a correction, Jesse, just because it's going to bug me. The Audi does have a V10 in it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, your leader of the race has been given a stop-go 30 for speeding in pit lane. And this is exactly what I was talking about pre-race about Lebrecht. He has fantastic pace, but sometimes he does not have the finishes that he deserves. That stop-go 30, that's going to lose him this race.
Yeah, I think that's going to slide him back to almost 5th. In fact, if the leaderboard's anything to go by, I don't know if Blanton's going to be able to make up that position, but I'm sure he's cussing himself out right now. He's going to be very frustrated with this, as he would only have 1 lap to go next time he crosses the line, but he's going to have to come into the pit stop. As we're switching back to this battle that's ongoing, McDude and Robles here. Robles trying to go down on the inside of McDude here. This is going into one of the final in the sector 3 here, not able to quite get it done on this lap. However, we're going to see Robles here and try and get a good run out of the last corner again, see if he can come into T1 and grab that. We are going to see that here shortly coming out. Ismail currently in his pit stop. We're going to see these guys slide on past him. He is actually he's out already. My apologies. It looks like in. Sorry, my timing board is doing whatever it wants. Yeah, there's Ismail you're seeing in the background there. Take his stop and go 30, and this is going to see how far back he's going to go. Of course, 20 seconds between him and Belisane. That's an easy pickup for Belisane there. And then we've got about 10 to 15 more seconds between him and P5, so he's going to lose quite a bit of time. Here comes Belisane, going to cross the line, going to take that provisional lead. Actually,
the end of the race.
This in the race?
Yep, that is the
That's
end
going to
of
end the race
race
because Lebrecht didn't come past the line.
Hamza Belhassain has won the race on the last lap. Lebrecht has got that stop-go 30. He had to serve. That's going to promote Conway to 2nd. Gillies is going to get back to 3rd. Blanton, after starting 10th, 4th. Mathis, 5th. Lebrecht still sitting in pit road in 6th position. Comes across the line. 7th for Octane. Urquiz in 8th place. Ryan Gill is going to finish ninth place, and Sebastian Brunier, after all the trouble he's had, is going to come home around the final corner and finish inside the top 10 in 10th position. And our AM battle not far behind in 11th place. Delo is going to win the first round in in that Porsche 911 with the number plate 911, with Vidica right behind him. And after some more cars finish, third place in that class is going to be Swinson.
Yeah, that's going to be Swenson still taking home P3. Winkler did go back just far enough that he lost all that time. I think maybe he had a little bit more of an issue as he was 20 seconds back off Swenson by the end of the race there. So Winkler is going to take fourth there, and in the end it looks like. And then of course Addison will come across the line eventually here for fifth place for the AM class. So yeah, not very interesting race. I mean, that was all. I don't think any of us knew what the hell was going to happen there. That was a mess, that last 15 minutes. All mistakes and pit stops, costing so much time. But you know what? That's why we love to see these pit stops happen. You know, that's why we love to add these little, little things in there. It's not all about the racing. You also got to know how to make your pit. And in Ishmael's case, unfortunately, probably released his pit limiter a little too early, and that's what will give him that stop and go 30 for speeding in the pit lane. And yeah, like you said, Jesse, back to sixth place from a solid lead. I think he was 15 seconds up when he came in.
Well, you know what they say, folks? The race isn't over until it's over. And this one was as unpredictable as anything I've ever seen. And I got to tell you, I do not envy the stewards that are going to have to sort out this mess. Certainly, we'll fill you in pre race before the second round of this championship. But what a race. Congratulations to Belisane, who hung in there the entire race and ended up getting the win. Conway and Gillies as well. Perseverance sometimes is the most important quality you can have.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's really what it came down to. Gillies, of course, making that whether it was a mistake in the pit stop or what, we don't entirely know. But something happened in that pit where he obviously lost quite a bit of time, and subsequently cost him what actually would have ended up being second place. Of course, Conway bringing it home in that second place. So we have a Bellis and Conway Gillies there for the podium, Jesse, and I think that was one of the three that we predicted, at least, right? Oh, anyway, well, guys, this has been the first race of the Night Owl Championship here at Kyalmi. Of course, we'll have 4 more races to go. Make sure you guys tune in. Jump on our Discord. We've got a couple championships starting up here. We have our McLaren Monday Cup going to be starting here shortly, as well as the Friday Endurance Championship. Teams of 2 will be racing on our flagship championship for Friday. That will be 8 rounds long, so be prepared for that soon. Signups will go out, should be on Monday morning. Currently, we're taking signups for our 12 hours of Bathurst in October. And of course, next weekend on Saturday, we have our 3 hours of Nürburgring endurance race, anywhere between 1 to 3 drivers each. Feel free to jump on the Discord. We're taking GT3 signups for the rest of the week. Couple more days on the GT4 signups for that, if you would like. 3 hours of Nürburgring on the 12th, followed by the second night out race. I believe me and Jesse will join you for both of those races next weekend. We will be here all
Indeed.
day long, bringing you the commentary. Jump on a Discord, link down in the description. Come join us for racing, guys, and we'll see you back next week.